So here's my plan. I made some scale drawings, calculated the materials I needed, and then generated a cut list. Enjoy the video. I'll be the first to admit this saw is not as good as I thought it would be. What I really need is a bandsaw, but until then, I'm just going to make the best of it. The diamond blade really does help. I got the saw free from work, so for a nominal investment of $90 for the diamond blade, it's fine. I got a better blade because I was wearing through the fibrous blades that most people use. Last year I built this welding table and I used 2x2 square stock with heavy wall, and it was eating those discs like crazy. The same trick from carpentry applies to metalworking. When you're cutting two pieces of equal length, cut them together if possible. It's just an easy way to make sure they're identical. I went ahead and skipped through most of this, as who wants to watch me grind metal? But you get the idea. I'm just removing the burrs on the backside of the metal from the diamond blade, melting the metal a little bit. I wire wheel it and then I grind it. I'm also taking off the mill scale on the raw steel to make sure I get a good weld. My dad used to use this stuff when I was a kid, and he gave me this and the metal-tipped pen many years ago. It's an easy way to put scratch marks on metal when you're trying to make an accurate measurement. Why make it any harder than it has to be? If you've never seen one of these, it's an automatic center punch. Pretty sure this one's from Harbor Freight from 20 years ago. Great for one-handed people. When drilling hot rolled steel, start with a small drill bit and work your way up. In this case, I drilled all 3 sets of holes through both pieces at the same time with an 1/8 inch bit. Then I switched to a 1/4 inch bit and did it again. I skipped a lot of that because who wants to watch me run a drill press? Here I'm just tacking it in to make sure the frame is square before I really burn it in good. I got a little carried away welding with this thing and forgot to keep the whole frame as I went along clamped to the table, and it did warp a little. That's okay because this just needs to be strong. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight, so I learned a valuable lesson. I'm still relatively new to welding, and I've only done about a dozen welding projects, so every time I do, I learn something new. If you noticed in my intro video, I've got quite a few cordless tools. The reason for that is simple. I'm tired of chasing for cords all the time. Whenever a tool of mine dies or I decide I want 2 of them, I buy the cordless version. This is a rigid angle grinder with a 5 amp hour battery. This thing is a machine and it does a great job. It's really nice I can just leave it laying around, especially for welding projects like this. I can just pick it up, grind, and shut it back off. Very easy and no cords to trip over. Acetone is great for removing oil and other gunk from the surface of metal to get a good bond with a primer. I've had this same can for 15 years and I just slowly use it. Recording this, it's Memorial Day weekend. I want to give a big shout out to all of our armed service members and veterans. Thank you for your service, and God bless America. Again, I cut a lot of this painting out because, frankly, who wants to watch me shoot spray paint? But I shot a coat of self-etching primer and 2 coats of regular enamel Rust-Oleum paint. The red color was just something I had 4 cans of, and I'm trying to get them down to 1. So that's the color I used. That's a little too close. Wow, is that a worm?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Say cheese. Got it. Measure twice and cut once. I was very nervous because I'm new to metalworking that this wouldn't work out, but I see I've progressed to a minimum standard of quality, and I'm very pleased with the results. So if you're still with me and you're interested in these drawings, here you go. The reason I built this is I needed a custom bracket. Now I could have gone and bought some off-the-shelf sturdy brackets like this, but I didn't want to do that. Mostly because the vibration and the sheer weight. I just don't trust these. I bet that motor weighs 10 pounds. With everything else on it, it's probably 30 pounds. And then when you add the weight of the dust collector bag full of chips, it's going to be quite heavy. I don't want any problems. I hate having to fix something I just built, so I'm doing it right. So I welded up a custom bracket. This was the original plan I thought up. This plan came about by pulling all the long lengths of steel stock I had out, measuring them, and figuring out what could I make with it. This is my classic favorite project that I refer to as B- C+ projects. Doesn't have to be that great. When you weld something, as much as you saw I did, it's not going anywhere. I drew this to scale. You can see here I've got an 1.5 inch wide piece. I've got angle iron here, and originally flat stock here on the outside. That was the plan. Looking at it from the front, where the wall would be behind this bracket, I had also planned a support bracket between these braces. But when I built it, I realized that you don't need that. It's plenty strong. Plus the braces went from the outside to basically flush. All this writing down here, I was calculating approximately how long I would need from my stock. You can see I had 40 inches of 1 inch by 1.5 inch angle stock. I did the math approximately, and it says I have 3 inches left. That's plenty of margin. This stuff that goes flat against the wall, I had 44 inches. I needed 2 19s. That left me 5 inches, plenty of margin. These two angles, same thing, etc., etc., etc. In all cases, my brackets here worked out to have plenty of margin. So here's just another view. This is what engineers call three-point perspective. I think architects use it too. So I did the side, the front, and the top. So between those three views, you can get a pretty good handle on what it's going to look like. The reason I drew the top one specifically is that the mounting collar that the motor attaches to, and then the base tabs attached to this bracket, was kind of an odd shape, and it was not square. It was slightly rectangle, slightly by like a ½ inch. So I built this bracket, and you can see here's the first 4 cuts I made, the ankle cuts. Here's the wall here, and here's the ankle brackets. You can see again they were supposed to come up from the outside, but when I actually made it I realized that was not the best idea. By the way, note the burn holes, that's from the welder because I had this laying on the table. So why did I do all that? Because I hate running out of materials and having to whisk off to the store. You buy steel at a big box store and it's ungodly expensive. All the steel I get is from a new used steel place in town. Nice family business. They charge 55 cents a pound for outside stock, 85 cents for inside stock. So I did all these drawings beyond just making sure that I had enough steel to do this C+ project. When you're all dressed up and you have all your shop set up, the last thing you want to do is have to stand there and figure out math. I'd rather do that at the kitchen table. I always come up with a cut list. So this tells me all the cuts I need to make. And in fact, usually I make all the cuts at once, deburr them, and then start the welding project. And that's more or less what I did in the video. The only unknown was the 2 angle brackets, because no matter how much you do the math, it never quite comes out right. So I always cut it slightly longer, fit it in place, and then keep shaving it until it fits. That seems to be the better approach. Plus, when you're welding, or if you're just like me, things aren't perfectly square. They're really close. So again, that affects the length on the hypotenuse of the triangle. It can be up to 1/4 inch. I'm talking about this piece right here. Anyways, I hope that sheds a little light here. The other thing I would note is you saw me drill these sets of holes, which were planned from the beginning before I welded it. The reason is, how are you going to hold a piece of angle, this giant metal thing that weighs 6 pounds, in a drill press and then drill these holes? You can't. So then what you end up doing is drilling it by hand, which I've got enough carpal tunnel and wrist problems I'm trying to ward off. I don't need any extras. It's a lot easier to drill these large 1/4 inch holes on a drill press before it's welded, and that's what I did. The reason I didn't drill these 4 holes is that I had to weld it together first. These were much smaller holes and they were tapped. You'll see in the next video, this is the next piece I'm going to do, is I'm going to bolt this bracket to the wall, attach this, tap the holes, put the motor and put the whole dust collect together and get it working. I've got 2 more videos planned, one of running ducting and one of adding a control system so I can turn it on from anywhere I want. So stay tuned and enjoy the next video. Here's a little snapshot of the final product. Here you can see the metal bracket holding up the motor and dust collector up high off the floor, because floor space is a premium. And as always, I'm a bit of a goofball, so gotta have a little fun with it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.